And we are on. Hello,
Hello,
hello, hello,
Michael is
hello,
drinking water.
gophers. Welcome to the October edition of Go Kuala Lumpur meetup. So, yep, and with me is Jasin and Michael. So, say hi.
Hello.
Yeah, let me type some message. Hello, world. It's a must. Okay, then we're gonna go through very fast on the Buzzcorner. Then Michael is gonna be our speaker today. He's gonna share some really interesting project uh, that he did. So
Yeah.
let's proceed. So the latest version, no new version change. It's just a minor release this month. And hello Zoo. And feel free to add anything you found out as well that is might be interesting to us. So just put whatever you think that is share worthy on the comment sections. So and the last meetup we shared the result of the 2019 developer survey, and the survey for this year 2020 is up again. So check it out. And at the end of this, I'm gonna share the link to the slides. So don't worry. So, and Hashicorp just concluded their events, right? Virtual events, introducing a bunch of product from them, and more for for me, the interesting one are Waypoint and Boundary. So check them out. And this is a proposal. It's I think a 9-year-old proposal that is just got accepted. Previously, we can only convert array to slice, but not the another way around. So this will allow us to do a, a conversion from slice back to array. So, and for those people that are familiar with in the JavaScript ecosystem, there is this ORM Lite, but it's actually a code generator that generates your ORM. It's called Prisma, and they just released an alpha edition of that for Go. And also, Goody from that uses SQLite is that another distributed database that is based on SQLite technology. So check them all out. And now I'm gonna uh, move over to Michael. He's gonna share the, I don't know how to pronounce it, AkomaNtoso.
AkomaNtoso, I think.
And you're gonna talk a bit on
Boundary, I doubt I will
okay.
have time.
Sure.
If we got some time, I'll just show some overview. But then otherwise, we can save that for the next session. I didn't have time to play with
Okay.
Boundary,
So move over to you, Michael.
all right. Thanks. So welcome, guys. So today I'm going to show you how we were doing some automated extraction of Slango Dune Hansard using the AkomaNtoso standards. In this talk, I'm representing the SINA project, where we use a lot of open technology, open data to help you as citizens to hold your representatives accountable. Let me make sure. Okay. Yep. So in terms of agenda, we'll run through some of Malaysia's latest exciting political events and link how you can hold your representative accountable. So we'll go through the standards and tell you why we are starting with Selangor State Assembly and what is a headset, and some of the strategies I put in to try to extract out data and solve the problems and solution. And also, more importantly, how we folks can help out as technical people. Right, so this seems like a long time ago, but yeah, May 2018, we thought we had a new Harapan. Yeah, I guess we did. But yeah, earlier this year, a change in government midway through the Lanka Sheraton. So ABBA is striking back at us. So, but it doesn't matter whichever government is at play. Us as citizens should always hold them accountable. So one way that we can hold your representatives accountable is through looking at what they are bringing up in terms of discussion for policies and debates, both at the state level and the parliament level. So we are starting with the state assembly, which is on the state level. Why? Because Selangor's state assembly is probably one of the better state governments that are digitizing their records for debates, questions and answers. Right. So, but it is still in PDF form, and that's why it is not really following the full open data standards, where you have something that is easily machine readable and to be able to extract. And that's where this project comes in. And any work that Sina project does, we always try to fit it within the wider ecosystem internationally. So AkomaNtoso is actually open standards for using a set of simple technologies that's neutral, and it uses XML format to represent your parliamentary, legislative, and judiciary documents. Right. So whether it is debates, question and answers, at least we have standards we can fill in the data from. Why we should do this is so that when we fill using certain standards, we can reuse tools that are developed by other parties and that are open source. So in this case here, we actually are using this project from our partners in UK, for My Society. They use a tool called Say It, where you can split up data and map how your representatives are asking questions, how are they debating, and you can actually search it in quite a nice format. I'll show you what it looks like later on. And all the code is implemented in Go, and the links are in there. Go AkomaNtoso. Right, so we're using standard here so that again make things reusable. Right, so in your Selangor State Assembly, there are certain laws and things that comes under the purview of the State Assembly. Right, so things are discussed, passed, laws are passed, and then of course executed at the state level. Although in Malaysia's government system, state assemblies are state governments are not really as widely scoped as federal, but they do control a lot of aspects of your life, which are probably closer to you. For example, forestry, your local authorities. So, people always complain, you got problems with your drain. Don't actually talk to your member of parliament. It's actually the wrong level. You should be talking to your, actually, even your state assembly person is probably not the right person. You actually have a local authority representative whom you should talk to. Right, so things like sand licenses, actually all these are pretty lucrative. So these are things as citizens we should have a look at and monitor closely as well. So like I say, the Selangor State Assembly is one of the better state assemblies. We'll see at the end other state assemblies, and you see it's pretty not as good. Right, so they're pretty structured and pretty updated as well. So you can actually even find handsets from this year in July. Right, so you're free to download all those raw data, and let me see if I have a copy. So we'll see this later, but yeah, this is an example of your handset. Oops, wrong page. There. Too many windows. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so right, so your state assembly handset actually have a few categories. So your assembly person will actually have written and spoken questions that are submitted before every sessions. There's actually a gold mine of embedded data in there, tables, images, statistics. So what we're extracting in this project is actually just the first level, the items that people are debating and who's saying or who are discussing certain topics, what is being said, right? So I think the next assembly is starting this Friday, right? So once we have that and they publish the documents, we can again use this tool to extract out the data. So the previous meeting was I think back in July. right? So like I say, data is extracted out to a tool called Say It. Once we fit this AkomaNtoso standard, right? So this is the output of the extraction of the data. So we didn't write any of this code. We just supplied the data in its raw format. So again, another good reason why you want to reuse international standards. So now this data can now be used in any other tools that can understand this format, right? So in your state assembly session, you can see who are the participants, right? Who's lazy, didn't appear, and or maybe appear but didn't participate. And then you can see also what are they debating, what are they asking for. So again, you can click your local assembly person to see what have they been championing. Have they been championing an issue that you have brought up to them? Right. So previously it is all in PDF. It's not very structured. It's not very usable. Right. So now at least we have a structured format that's outputted, and you can then, use whatever crazy technology you have to, do your whatever analysis, or you can join data with our other projects in CINA project. Right. So we start with the raw file from the handset. So those are in PDF. As you know, PDF is always a pain to work with. But based on our previous work, working on parliamentary and the state assembly question answer extraction, we already have the same PDF libraries. So we just build on top of the standard PDF library from Go. I think it's one of the more popular ones, with some additional stuff to make it easy to extract out lines and rows or style, which I'll show you later when we are using it to extract data out. So once we extract out the raw text in there, then we will go the first phase, which is to extract out representatives. That means who are attending the particular sessions. And then after we have this initial data of the representative who are participating in this session, we'll use that map to later map it to what they are talking about, when do they talk about that. So what does it look like in practice? Right, so as you can see at the bottom image, this is the raw PDF input out here, right? So how would you be able to extract out the characters or the entities of the users in there, right? So there are many ways you can approach it, but at least for Selangor State Assembly, because they are fairly well structured, I could use the PDF library to use a style bolded analysis to extract representative, meaning we use the PDF code to try to look out for all these items that are sort of bolded, and with a lot of tests at regular expression, it comes out with a pretty nice structure automatically. There won't be 100% correctness. I'll show you why shortly, and later on you'll be able to see more of the problems that we see. So in our analysis of all the whole documents, we will duplicate any of the repeating representatives that comes out, and that unique ID will be what you see earlier on in the speakers. You extract that out, right? So the what comes out is session YAML, which is basically just a structured data of map of the displayed name to a sort of unique identifier only within the session. Even with this short, small sample in here, you can already see quite a lot of data problems with the handset itself. So for those of you who are not familiar with handset, there's actually I guess a stenographer or whatever typing out anything that your state representative do, whether they are saying something or if they throw a chair or they scream. All those are actually noted down in your handset. So you can see here there's actually a lot of typo which cause some problems, and why we decide to do a strategy of splitting out, extracting the representative first from the debate. So there is some manual cleanup that you have to do in here. So once you have the map of the display name to a unique identifier of this person, of your representative, then we actually will analyze through the whole PDF, and it tries to map you what your representatives say with the ID. So we have a unique identifier, And then the raw content here is just what they say, during that particular interaction, right? So it's just like movie script, right? One guy says something, another guy replies, so on and so forth. So now that you have a structured data of this content, we can actually transform it to anything, JSON, CSV, doesn't matter, right? And again, any of our raw data that we publish out is always under your open database license, so people are free to use and for their own purpose. So the AkomaNtoso is just one output from this data, so you can transform it any which way, right? So so what does the output look like? Yeah, so it's actually just XML output. So we had to come up with a few sort of basic test cases so that we can try to see whether it fits correctly with SAID. So even SAID doesn't implement the full AkomaNtoso standard. It's pretty complicated, right? And I'll show you a bit later what it looks a bit like. Later on, I'll show you again the output of the SAID, where you can actually go to the output. You can actually download the content in the AkomaNtoso standards for your own use later on. Or of course, all the outputs that I process is also inside this repository, so feel free to download that. Some of the problems we face when writing the code for this, three topmost are bad source content. We have already seen some example earlier on. AkomaNtoso's standard is pretty complicated and XML, yuck. And actually, I think there are actually various companies that are actually build tools right on top of these standards for bigger customers like governments and things like that. And of course, as per normal, I always over-engineer the solution. So I'll show you how I simplified the things. Right. So PDF is already bad enough that the data is not really structured, right? So, and we already have problems extracting it out. So the things are made harder for by having a bad source in terms of things like having typos, the name female assembly person with male pronouns, they call, instead of puan, they call them tuan. Instead of binti, is like bin, anak perempuan, they anak lelaki. Right, so you see quite a lot of typos. Even here, like YB Ting Chang Kim, is it KHIM or KIM? Right, so I'm not making up any of these typos, is all in there. So thus you can see in here, I actually have to, that's why we do a phase processing. So in the first phase, in the session YAML, this output here is meant for us as a human to do a bit of cleanup. One thing you guys can help out later will be like put a nice UI to make it more scalable to do cleaning up and to maybe like link it to other types of data source. There are other open standards to link people, persons. I'll talk about it slightly later, called the Puppet standards, which we also have a project on. But yeah, a lot of this simple data cleaning, once you clean up this map, when we go to the next phase of the debate extraction phase, then at least the data coming out will be slightly more consistent. Right, so AkomaNtoso is a well-defined standard, but it's very complicated. So we go with everything strongly typed. It's just not very nice. It's pretty painful. So in fact, I was nearly like writing like some sort of like parser for it. So it's like, okay, forget it. It's too complicated. So anyway, say it's not really implementing the full AkomaNtoso standard. So I just do a reverse where I just come up with a working basic XML based on what say it has given as example, and we just try to fill it in with actual working example so that I get first a working case, and then I will keep on adding more edge cases until I have something which is submittable. Because even say it has actually bugs. So for example, I think if I didn't do a proper HTML escape. When I load it into state, it actually will crash. So they also didn't do pretty good validation on their end, right, for bad data. Right, so those who like XML, yeah, it'll be nice. Yeah, it's pretty horrible. Probably even worse than YAML. So the data we transform it to is at least in YAML. It's not the best, but at least YAML is designed for data kind of thing, a bit more readable. Last problem we faced was like, as per normal, try to over-engineer the solution. So we try to have, instead of multi-phase kind of stuff where it needs a bit of manual work, we try to do something where it'll be like automatic detection of, when the documents cover start, it tries to extract out the attendance by itself, try to split out the sections. So in fact, the code has some of those. But in the end, I decided to just simplify again, overthinking it. So instead of just trying to look at parts of the documents, we'll just scan through the whole documents. And in general, it does come out pretty okay. If you look at my regular expression in there, it's a lot of exception, edge cases, and things like that. So it's pretty ugly. But in any case, at least for a first cut, it does its job. And instead of me trying to analyze this complicated attendance lists, I can just analyze who said what, and then anybody who says something, we'll put them as sort of active. So it could be a representative appeared but didn't really talk about anything. But anyway, so with this simplification, it actually does simplify the solution a bit more. Right. So let's see. I think we can at least maybe see an example. Let's see if I got my. Do I have it? Okay, I think I have one example earlier on. Where? It is. Okay, so just to show the example, what is the output? Again, it's a open site. You can just go in there, so you can see all the different sections, the different speakers, and the different speeches. Right, so speakers, you have already seen them. Again, you will see some that are like duplicated, some that might be like closely named. And no pictures yet. So yeah, if you want to make it nicer, you can always try to link it with other data sources where they have the images of your state assembly person. Right, so I've done sort of every session is one section, and then each section you will have its talk, right? And then for each of your representative, you can see during all these sessions what have they been saying, how many appearances have they been making, right? So if you want to see who are the more active representative, or if you know who are your representative, you can always see what they have been discussing during the Slango state assembly. Okay, so how you can help, those of you who knows how to do nice user experience UI kind of stuff, you can make a nice UI to as I said, as it extract out the representative, there will be a lot of, there may be some duplicates or some typos which needs a nice cleaning. We do have a partial implementation of the Parliament handset. It's slightly trickier. It's not as structured as the Slango state assemblies. We are halfway there. Feel free to contribute. You can also look out for more raw state assemblies, raw data. So, for example, Sarawak and Penang. And as you see from every state assembly, they really have no standards, right? So, really, the solution is basically every state assembly or state assemblies and parliament across Malaysia should really just standardize towards a format. Why not international standards like AkomaNtoso? Right, so you can see each of them are not standardized. So literally, you'll be writing custom code that you need to plug in for every source that we have. So yeah, it's not super difficult, but yeah, a bit tedious. You will probably have to write a lot more test cases because every time there will be possibly different formatting, and certain strategies that work with the Slango state assembly may not really work on these other types of documents. Right. We also have our other projects that uses other international standards like POPIT. Let's see if I put it correctly. This is the repo. Let me see if I can actually politicus.cima project. See if it pops up. Yeah, so for example, these data in here are following the POPIT standard. So yeah, one way you can further join the data, we take the data from this AkomaNtoso and combine it with the data that we have in here, right? And you can see what weird stuff that they say, right? Like this representative blaming voters for political instability, right? So that's with raw data in there. Yeah, you folks as technologists, I'm sure you'll be able to come up with something nice to combine, or come up with an app, or come up with some other analysis in it. So yeah, okay. So I open it up for questions, and we have more links in here. Feel free to download the tools. There's a README in there on how you need to want to use it or build on it. It's still pretty raw. Feel free to ping me directly at my contact if you want to participate, and I at least can clean up the READMEs a bit more. Until then, yeah, I'll open it up for Q&A for now, if any.
I'm gonna. I can share the link to the slides now.
Yeah,
let me share it.
Share the link to the slides. So in there you can download.
I have a question. How much work you have to do in order to be able to extract data from? It's actually let me rephrase it. How much do you have to write yourself, or are there sufficient off-the-shelf libraries to help you with doing this project?
Yeah, I mean, most of them are. Let me see if I can get to my code. Yeah, it's pretty much I use the standards PDF libraries and things like that. So the only sort of wrapper would be. Let me see. I can make it bigger. So I will have like some of those functions. So for example, this Leow PDH library is one of the more common ones. So it already implements some of the stuff like able to extract out like rows or style, right? But then I have my standard wrapper kind of things, which I put into my structure. So I will have a row analysis and a by style analysis, right? So most of the time we will be using row to row of text extracted out. But then when I wanted to slice out the representative, because if you notice just now the PDF is bolded, right? So this is where the sort of style analysis is useful. So if you see in here, this struct I have like a full plain text, which is not as useful. I will split up a page or the whole documents to like multiple lines. Also split it up based on style. So as a one style change to another, I use that as like a way to say, okay, this guy might be a representative because it's a change in style. Then you have to put into some regular expressions based on the different rules. So for example, do I have? Yeah, I will look out for keywords like YB, Yang Berhemat or Tuan and things like that. So some of these keywords I put in here, so it's very ugly. So I don't really have an elegant kind of stuff. So the nice thing is, again, Golang here, you can write a lot of your test cases in here. So for example, as I'm working to do all these things step by step, it'll be like feeding them different test cases, and then at least you can for those edge cases, you can try to put it in your table test and then get it out. So, for example, instead of representing the whole document, I'll just represent a few lines of the things that would cover what it looks like, right? So some of those weird cases like, extra space in front. In the case of Selangor State Assembly, the page only starts with like a header and the page number, right? Compared with, let's say, Parliament, they don't have this header. So you need to write certain different rules. So, but the good thing is that basically, once you have all these test cases, as long as the Selangor State Assemblies don't change the format too much, it should be pretty, it works pretty fine. Until you find another test, edge test case, then you got to whether you can find an elegant one or if you see my code, I have a lot of exception, a lot of hacking kind of stuff. So it's not perfect. So that's where sort of the human intervention coming in and having like a nice tool to clean up the rest of the way is helpful. I don't really have, or rather, I'm not trying to aim for like 100% completion. If it gets like 80%, it's probably good enough for me. So that is the same sort of standards we saw for like when we were processing the Parliament docs or the State Assembly docs for the question answer, the Go pardocs and Go dundocs. So most of the time it's okay. Sometimes it's some problems, then you just do some manual correction. So again, all the outputs all comes out in. I do check that into the repo. So all these are open data.
I saw you with just now the double colon notation you had just now. What was that? Is that a go landing that you had for your Go code?
Where was it?
The one that you share Go code just now? The file that you opened just now. Yeah.
Oh, test, is it?
So you scroll down.
Scroll down, yeah.
This
is just generated test, so
yeah.
nothing special.
What was that? It's not there anymore.
Was it like a special symbol or what?
It starts with a colon, double colon, then it ends with a star.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's the shortcut there. I think the if else kind of stuff they will.
Oh, look at that. The line 446. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they just autofill for you. It's just some.
It's a go landing.
Yeah, we still have to type this, but they will like hide this in for you, whether you want it. Or,
easier to read, yeah, so it's related to that. The question is, how much did Golang help in writing and debugging?
I probably could have write it in VS Code. I mostly use Golang so that I can open Hashicorp's repo. They are quite huge. Okay. I do use the test case generation a lot, but I think VS Code also has that, so I don't see any too much difference in that. In fact, they always have a bit annoying stuff where I always have to, at least for Golang, you always have to put this file watcher thing, whereas your VS Code, they auto put in the format, right? So this one I have to add in there. So yeah, since I buy the license to look at Hashicorp repo, so mostly I do work in Golang, but I wouldn't call myself expert users, but definitely I always will. At least these days, I start with, instead from outside in, I start with the inside out kind of stuff. So again, my test coverage is not really that good, but I try to do a lot more test tables, kind of thing. Right. So at the very least, I don't have to type out all this stuff. So a lot of things are generated in here. So, but I do have to go through each of these test cases. So again, I don't use any debugger or anything. A lot of print statements. So as I'm writing parts of the code. So for example, this mapping of your representative to his ID, right? So as I'm writing the code for creating this map, I will just print it out as a string so that I can copy and paste as example, test case example I can use in the next step, right? So when I'm writing, let's say this is for testing this debate processor state, this one is output. this is for testing this function, this debate process single page, right? Yeah, so when I'm writing this, all the other dependencies, I just pass in, lines, right? So I don't really need to have the full PDFs and things like that. So I'm sure there's probably better ways to write it, but yeah, these days that's why I'm trying to structure it. It's a more standalone, building upon all the pieces, and then sort of that you won't see PDF anywhere. So I pretty much as fast as possible I transform it to a arrays of strings to just plug it in. So it's definitely super unoptimized. It's actually pretty slow. I haven't tried to do any concurrency yet, so just to get it working. First,
So another question. Was one actually to get hard to get up here?
Go static typing help. Yeah,
no.
I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, like I said, I think the XML one was a bit painful. Let me see if I still have I think in here I got like some of the remnants of the early things I was trying to like map. Okay, how do you map the meta? This AkomaNtoso docs. I forget it. Well, forget it. So what I did is just we just create a test data. I find a very basic working one, or rather I craft by hand a very basic working one, because some of the things I don't understand, like this ontology kind of stuff. Later on, I found you actually don't have to generate it. You just need to have an ID. You can just put whatever here, and we upload it into the Say it will actually fill this in based on your endpoint, right? So the first few times I was trying to find out what is really needed, what is not needed. Because I think the example that they gave, where was it? It's some Romeo and Juliet play kind of thing. Where did I put a test? Oh yeah, here it is. This is the official test, So it's like, oh, pretty long, a lot of stuff. So it's like, what is the minimal thing that I can get away with to actually get it working? And if you see the repo, I put a lot of README and resources. So again, I went overboard to say like, well, okay, what are all the libraries that can do AkomaNtoso and things like that. So in the end, it's just chuck it all away. I just boil it down to even something simpler than the official example. These other two test cases here are from actual governments, and it's like so complicated. So strong typing, does it help? Probably not really. So at least
then why don't you use Python?
I mean, I don't code in Python, so at least Go I know is less frustrating. I'm a simple person. I'm not really a developer, so yeah. And of course, yeah, Python is always annoying. I always have to go into the pip-m shell kind of stuff, and it always breaks. So at least Go is simple enough for a simple person like me doing like CRI kind of things. So you won't see any concurrency kind of stuff at all. It's just try and get something working first. So hopefully that answers the question. But you can see this is a very simple one, right? And then later on, I found out things like if you don't escape the thing, the HTML escape, then I crashed. Say I got it corrupted, and you cannot like delete the collection. So you have to actually email support. Help. That was annoying.
Okay, there's no question, but I would like to ask a bite-shaped question since this is raised. This is mentioned. Would generic help you?
Probably. I mean, if let's say I want to write like XML type parser, probably. But whether my headspace can even figure out those kind of stuff, probably not.
So you haven't encountered any root block that you need the kind of tight flexibility?
Yeah, I mean, again, if I were to try to write, let's say, AkomaNtoso parser, I think in Go, then yeah, I think the generics would definitely help in that case. But you see me getting frustrated at that, and I just say, okay, forget it. Just it's just generating a template, right? So if you see my code, even for this one, the output is so ugly. Right, you got your header, footer, the old school way, Right. So the important part is that you have the raw structured data. So Any of you can just use this, plug in your part of the code with a particular type, and then go with however you want to transform the data, right? So it's transforming this YAML to this output. So it's not super complicated. In there, you do have to do some escaping. I have to remove a lot of special characters. I don't know what will cause problems. So, for example, some representative got like anak lelaki, will the slash cause problem? Will it not cause problem? So to be safe, I pretty much just remove all those special characters. Anything else is replaced with dash. Just keep it simple. Yeah. So yeah, it is quite standalone, but yeah, the nice ideal one again, you link it with our wider ecosystem of the politicals, those puppet databases. So again, I think what Kyril has seen, right, our co-founder for the Salam project, is that it's a lot of data that is published out in the open, but it's just not in a structured, accessible format. So this is just one project in there. So with this raw data, again, use whatever AI, machine learning, whatever stuff you can, I'm sure, link it together in your Spark cluster to get something out of it. So this is just a small contribution to that. What's the one thing you wish you know about Go when you got started? I mean, when I got started, they didn't have like mod, Go mod and things like that. So probably if you were starting today, that will probably be a useful things, right? So I mean, those days
the GoPuff thing also confused a lot of people. Right?
So then like GoPass, so I struggled a bit with that. We always did the same mistake where there's your package, need to have the full name. You try to do weird workarounds where dot slash. These days I just say just put the full repo type of name in there. I mean, I've not even fully looked into fully the Go mods kind of stuff, where V2 and things like that. I don't think any of my libraries have reached that level of maturity, so it'll probably be like V0 forever. But definitely for bigger projects, I think the understanding all those Go mod stuff would probably be be helpful. But at the very least, like a beginner, like I say, I think Go is probably the only code, at least testing wise, I've been sort of successful. It's not that good, but at least I can get into the rhythm of writing a test and then build on top of that from that.
I think because there's not many like hidden ways or
correct.
You have to worry about also like better way to do things, right?
So I think another one that people might not know is that there's actually if you do an internal folder in here, you can hide your APIs from the public until you want to expose it, which is quite nice. Lack of programmers active. I think it's just. I mean, I think any technologies that are in Malaysia, I guess either we're too small or
I think also like regularly we see a lot of people or companies that are trying or been doing Go, but they are not as public as others.
Yeah, true.
And often like they didn't advertise the job for the hiring for Go programmers. So I think that is that partly contributed to the question of that.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's just from my point of view.
True. Okay, I might be contributing to it. We do use in Manila, we use a bit, but that's just under my team on the SRE side. So since I have control of that, my venture in Go into the rest of the company is still not as successful. We only have one service.
So do we want to jump to Boundary? Actually, I have some questions.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Did you try it out?
No, not yet. That's why I think
it's just a discussion.
Oh yeah, so I would say Boundary. For those of you who are listening now, do look at the architecture talk by Armand Dagger. I think it's on YouTube on Boundary. So he actually explains the thinking about Boundary. So I mean, Boundary is just released 0.1, so it's just too I think too early. I think they don't even
I
have
think
like OAuth
I
and
think
things.
it's, right now they just provide you the what do you call it, the basic service that powers
Business service,
but you still have to write plugins in order to
correct.
be able to.
So that's why the important one is actually you listen to AkomaNtoso's talk, because that one he actually tells you the vision, and which I definitely agree. Even
But-
in our company, I'm trying to push towards that in the sense of, okay,
Yeah,
instead of having services and by IP or
Yep.
or segments, you
Or VPN, right? The usual practice is VPN, right? So
right. So like Moneyline, we currently use VPN, but I'm trying to look for alternatives.
is that along the line of Beyond Corp as well for Boundary? You know?
Beyond Corp, in all the implementations I see is only HTTP type of protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
similarly to, I mean, as in because the one of the core concept is that a lot of organization, they only they just
they only
protection is
protect
behind the firewall. So
Yeah.
like once you get into the internal network, you're free. It's
Yeah.
free for all for you.
Correct. So yeah, I mean the concept there is definitely related, where you have strong identity assertion. So whether you are human or service, and then
But Boundary is beyond SSH, so it's meant to
correct.
be an identity management for all sort of connection, network connection.
I wouldn't say identity management. Identity is from your whatever identity provider, whether Active Directory, G Suite, whatever OAuth kind of stuff. But they will actually confirm that you are this particular service or this human, and then instead of actual machine, they actually mark your services as logical services.
I'm curious about I haven't tried it out, but I'm curious about because they actually log every single action that you did. So I'm curious about the kind of performance that I don't know.
Performance I'm not sure, but definitely a lot of the like commercial ones, even that I'm looking for, like just now the gentleman there said teleport gravitational, they also log it. Another one we're looking at is like Strong DM. It's open source as well, but they have their commercial licensing. So Strong DM also sort of monitors this. So if you want audit capability, Strong DM. The other one
Strong
Strong STRONG DM.
VM or DM? DM.
DM, yeah.
This one.
Yeah. And then of course Cloudflare themselves, they have the Cloudflare One. I also am looking at now like Tailscale. It's quite nice. This is the ex-Google guy, so written in Go as well. Is it Go or Rust? I think Go and Rust. Tailscale is also quite interesting. So Tailscale One, like the rest of this solution, they need like a boundary. I mean, they're bastion style gateway. With the Tailscale one, you actually don't need to even pop up anywhere. I put a node inside the VPC, and you can actually tunnel. Oh yeah, Pomerium is also a nice one. Yeah, so, and of course, if you want to implement your own one, what was that project? What was the name? Not the pro. I get my guys to do the work. I just
that's the pro because yeah, you don't even need to dirty your hands.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, why I got so Tailscale looks quite interesting. I'm trialing that now. Probably try to use that to replace our control plane for our system side. But for our user side, again, the problem is always if you got too many systems, then the balance between how you set out the policies.
Yeah. And also the visibility as well, right?
Yeah, correct. So like Strong DM is quite nice. I think they got a Terraform provider for it, so you can put your policies as Terraform. So at least like Moneyline, most of our infra is all self-service. So this is something I can like delegate to the teams to do their own policies. Needing to rely. But anyway, it's very early days. We're still looking. We also play a bit with like Cognito for Beyond Corp wise, where you don't need to install anything, just use AWS Cognito. It's the easiest. It's probably not the most polished. Like I think for Miriam or whatever might look nicer, and a lot of them are open source as well. So depends on your things. Where you want to balance off your budget versus your time spent. For business, we of course try to we can put in a better budget. But yeah, for open source kind of stuff, yeah, definitely. Boundary, I'm waiting for it to mature. But it's too early.
It's there, but the integration to services needs to be written lah.
Yeah, correct. So like I say, watch the Almond Daggers video, see the vision, right? For Hashicorp one, you always have to see the vision because they will take a few steps to get there, but eventually they'll get there. I mean, like Terraform, it's not even V1, right? But even pre V1s, Hashicorp stuff are pretty solid lah.
Yep. And
Scale, I think 20 USD for the one before enterprise. So depends whether you need single sign-on and things like that or not. But if for personal use, just use the free one. You can sign in with your Google. I think there's like 100 devices or whatever. So for as a developer to link all your devices, it's probably quite nice. You don't
I think you probably answered Tevin's questions.
Yeah, I know. I thought, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but Tailscale so far looks the slickest. I got my Android.
What about this? What about Waypoint? Since we're
Waypoint. They actually, this is not the first time Hashicorp tried to do sort of like all-in-one developer tools. Last time they had a product called Auto, which I tried to do some contribution and then died. So sad. I'm less impressed with this because basically, at least for our deployment, this one seems to be more useful for smaller deployments. So like for ours, nowadays we got like our Kubernetes and we use like Argo CD to do the deployment. So it's at least for our business use, it's not as interesting because like a lot of different teams. So for us, the more useful one in terms of like Kubernetes type deployment, the Argo CD is quite nice. So we have a lot of like system Helm chart kind of stuff. So instead trying to use like Helm, we were on Helm 2 last time, which is totally terrible. I don't know about Helm 3, but the Argo CD one does make a lot of the system things much nicer. So we roll out our clusters using Terraform, but then the layer on top, we use Helm. Previously, we were using Terraform and Helm, which is a bit funky. So, but with the Argo CD and Helm, it's quite a nice combination. So for me, Waypoint is probably not as useful, but for a smaller one, definitely. For smaller teams, definitely look at it as an alternate to probably Docker Compose kind of stuff. So it seems like they do link with a lot of the different toolings and things like that. Yep, Argo requires setting up. Yeah, okay, yeah. Again, my guy set it up, so I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Ephemeral environments. I'm not sure what do you mean by ephemeral environments. Definitely don't put your databases or whatever in Kubernetes. Unless you are wanting to risk.
Unless you're using a distributed one, like Cockroach or something.
I don't know. Even distributed, that's probably even scarier. Like so, I mean, like at least for our team, we finally are evaluating like console and things like that. Because I was so afraid to manage like our own console node. So only after we manage another CQR system called like Exxon, then we.
You know what's funny because etcd, which Kubernetes is based on, are not running on Kubernetes.
Yeah, all right.
So yeah, that sort of explains something.
Yeah, Helm 2 sucks. Agreed, 100%. It's so buggy, so bad, so bad. They have branch environments. Argo CD doesn't support. No, I think it does support. At least we are able to do that. We can do like preview environments. They can have multiple copies of those things running. Of course, we link that to our CI environment. So I'm not sure where poor support for ephemeral. What does that mean?
Or blue-green.
I mean, technically, I think Argo does come with blue-green. In practice, in our production, nobody ever uses blue-green. The Kubernetes rollout is good enough. So, nobody has asked me for more sophisticated. Although everybody always bring it up when
I think having to manage it is already a sophisticated task.
yeah, correct.
So you don't want to make things more complicated.
Yeah, true. I mean, imagine. I think in the earlier days we did run our blue green with some bash script. It's so terrible. So bad. So don't do that. Configuration management. What does it mean? Configuration management. Console, of course. Hashicorp. We are evaluating that on our own. Ours, our Spring Boot, we are mostly just using on the, it's built into the application, so it's not very flexible. My push is to go for console at the moment, but we're still making sure we are confident to run it ourselves. The option Hashicorp does have managed console these days.
How's console performance these days? Because in the early days that I tried, it was really noisy.
Okay. Seems okay.
Okay. And it's not that like SCD is perfect lah. SCD got their problem as well.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the to go from non-console to a console does have the complexity, but we have a target of needing to be like multi-clusters and things like that. So console is one way that we can achieve that. So I try tap on the service mesh layer in there. So yeah, config management, yeah, go for console, of course. Bias.
And our database, if you like it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Problem with config management, if you see all the big outage from all the cloud provider, is because of config management, because that's not easily managed in Git or whatever, right? So pretty much even mature companies, they face problem because config management is like the hidden thing, right? I mean, I think we had some cases where some of the teams use like flagging kind of stuff. My God.
Technically, technically the runs on the same concept, right? On the consensus algorithm.
Your config will take forever to propagate. Good luck. Come on.
Yeah, it still happens for like these distributed databases. Sometimes in a certain, if the stars are not aligned, you have contention, you have a split brains issue, like very niche. But if you're really unfortunate to when everything doesn't align, they can happen to anybody.
Yeah, because I mean, actually, we tested console like this. So, for example, the console server, you can have all the console server down, it will still function, no problem. But then, if the agent you do some changes and you don't rotate it, then they have some problems, right? Also, like the console's rough implementation, you definitely need like a majority, right? So if you have 2 out of 3 out, you basically have to go to recovery stage.
And rough doesn't like high latency.
Oh yeah, correct. So don't put your clusters to save cost. You put in multi-region. Please don't do that. Use the one protocol.
It doesn't like it. And if they are out of sync, they're gonna be really noisy.
Yeah.
Trying to sync up.
Don't do that. So I mean, one thing why we avoided console for so long is definitely I have to run extra console servers.
We're talking about
random discussion.
Yeah.
Do put in topic you want to discuss or have an opinion on.
Yeah. So we have 2 more minutes before we have to wrap up. Throw your questions. So.
If you guys tell Hashicorp super fan here.
They are.
Bias.
Michael is known to be the go-to guy whenever we see Hashicorp. So he's the person we're gonna ask whenever there's an announcement from Hashicorp. Yep, I guess that's about it. I guess.
Okay, thank you for attending.
Yeah.
So
thank you for showing the awesome work done. Both impressive using Go and also impressive work on the subject matter as well. Yeah, did you like?
Yes, definitely 100%.
I think most of the ops things were written in Go, right? Also,
100, yeah, except for their first one, Vagrant, which is Ruby. Yeah,
yeah.
sorry, Ruby. Yes, definitely 100%.
Right. That being said, I think we have to wrap up. And thank you for being here, and thank you, Michael, for being here, and also thank you, Jiaxing is not here right now for. We've been trying to do a collaboration with the Google Developer Space, but not the Malaysian one, the Singapore one. So they'll be doing the PR and some and because of the COVID situation, also they are supposed to offer physical space as well. But yeah, unfortunately, we cannot.
Yeah,
be there
maybe
yet.
next year.
Yeah. So that's about it, I guess. Yep. Goodbye, folks. See you guys. Hopefully next month. So.
Bye bye.